So as an investment trust, specifically one that was sub 500 million in size, you didn't have as many people trading them. Now there's no issues with liquidity because you've got active market makers. So if anybody wants to buy or sell units of our ETF, they've got no issue doing that because you've got people in the market, firms in the market who are ensuring that the liquidity is always there.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Dean Orrico. He is the CEO of Middlefield. And Dean, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Steve. Good to be here.
Excited to learn a little bit more about what is now an ETF. It wasn't always that way, and so maybe sort of let's start there. Give us a little history lesson here on Middlefield and this Canadian Income Trust.
Sure. Great to be here. And our fund has been around for many years as an income trust listed on the London Stock Exchange. And Middlefield itself, headquartered in Toronto, has been around for almost 50 years. So what we've done with this product, which was formerly an income trust, is converted it into an active ETF. And that's relevant because we've done that with multiple products in Canada over many years. So we've launched a number of closed-ended funds in Canada and the UK. In Canada, we converted a lot of those into active ETFs because the ETF business has grown so rapidly in North America, and now it's starting to gain traction in the UK and Europe. So what we've done in Canada, we thought we would do that as well with that investment trust. So it's now no longer called Middlefield Canadian Investment Trust. It's basically Middlefield Canadian Enhanced Income UCITS ETF. And we've now corrected for some of the issues that existed as an income trust that are now basically much more efficient and much more manageable as an ETF.
Dean, is it just the fact that it gives you just more flexibility as well? Is that one of the reasons why it's becoming so successful?
Well, flexibility, in fact, the way we manage the fund, Steve, it's really not changed one iota. We've
Mm.
managed it as an investment trust for almost 20 years. We've now converted it into an ETF. It's basically got the same features, the same management style, the same strategy. However, we trade it at a 10, 15% discount as an investment trust. That's no longer the case because as an ETF, we effectively trade on the LSE, we trade on the Xetra in Germany, we trade on the Borsa in Milan. That's all traded effectively at NAV because you have active market makers ensuring that. Number one. Number two, our overall costs are lower. So the TER as an investment trust was closer to 1.35, 1.4%. Now it's 95 basis points. So it's down by a third. That is a substantial difference. And then thirdly is liquidity. So as an investment trust, specifically one that was sub 500 million in size, you didn't have as many people trading them. Now there's no issues with liquidity because you've got active market makers. So if anybody wants to buy or sell units of our ETF, they've got no issue doing that because you've got people in the market, firms in the market who are ensuring that the liquidity is always there. So it corrects for some of the challenges that we had as an investment trust.
Okay, let's talk about some other things that are around the world and may have an effect on what you're doing, and most notably geopolitical factors. It's always the markets were in such turmoil for many years, and then all of a sudden it started getting better, and then all of a sudden all this geopolitical stuff happens, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster. Are you feeling that as well?
Yeah, a roller coaster is putting it mildly,
Yeah.
Steve.
Okay.
So
How about a plane going up and down, maybe?
it really is. There's that's probably a better way to describe it. So our strategy is focused on primarily Canadian equities. And what is the Canadian market? The Canadian market is very different from the US market. It's very different, really, from the UK and European market. And you look at the composition of our market, it's really in energy, it's in financials, and it's in mining materials. And for many years, Steve, investors were just focused on technology and growth. And over the course of the last 12 to 24 months, there's been a broadening of the market into some of these areas that Canada does. And I think the world's come to appreciate that Canada has the resources that they need. And that started with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, where basically all that gas that was going into Europe stopped. And now we've got what's happening in the Middle East with the Straits of Hormuz and on the oil and natural gas, basically 20% of the world's supply, effectively grinding to a halt. Canada has the fifth largest resources of natural gas in the world, I think third highest in oil, one of the largest suppliers of potash and uranium. So at the end of the day, people are now coming to appreciate what we have in this country and what's represented in this portfolio. So if I'm sitting in the UK or Europe and I'm looking for true diversification in North America, I think Canada really does represent a unique opportunity, and that's what we're providing exposure to in this fund.
And Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney has built his whole career on business and finance, and a great understanding of that, including the work he's done with the Bank of Canada, and he just has a strong business acumen, and that really I think helps in these type of times.
It's an important point because Canada, in many respects, was really viewed as not being business friendly under Prime Minister Trudeau, and it was really moved perhaps too far to the left with too much of a focus on the environment. But Canada is blessed with some of the world's most important natural resources. And Carney has come out in the last 12 months and has basically proclaimed, which Trudeau never did, that he is going to make Canada an energy superpower. And some of the actions he's taken have actually been very well received by the business community. He's now created a major projects office and he's listed 5 to 10 major products, including expanding our LNG facilities off the coast of BC, increasing pipeline activity, putting money into increasing our port activity, all in an effort to ensure that we can now get our natural resources out to the world more efficiently and more effectively. It's not going to happen overnight, but I would say the sentiment has clearly turned, and I would argue it's turned 180 degrees since he came into power about a year ago.
Well, it certainly is going to be interesting times ahead, and we'll see what Prime Minister Carney has in store. Dean, thanks so much. Great to catch up with you, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
All right, Dean Orrico, he is the CEO of Middlefield.